Hi, I'm Aiden Messenger, and I'm going to be presenting to you the history of Arsenal Football Club, or as we call it in America, Soccer Club. So, to begin, Arsenal is one of the biggest clubs in the world because of its rich history, its domination domestically in England and internationally in Europe, and it's very famous for producing some of the best players in the world alongside some of the best coaches of all time. It also has one of the best fan bases in the world with almost 120 million people. So, to begin, Arsenal Football Club was founded in 1886 by factory workers in London by the name of Woolwich Arsenal Armament Factory, hence the name. From 1890 to 1896, Arsenal triumphed in lower leagues, winning between 3 and 5 trophies in the first 6 years, which was an incredible feat for a newly made club. Um, In the early 1900s, Arsenal was promoted to the first division called the Premier League, which is the most competitive league in the world. And then Highbury Stadium, which was the name of their most famous stadium, was bought, and it became one of the most iconic football stadiums in the world, or once again, soccer stadiums. Now, in 1925, a new head coach named Herbert Chapman was labeled the great innovator for bringing the club to the next level. He led the team to 3 Premier League titles in a row, a feat only ever done by 3 other teams, and 5 titles in total in 8 years, which was an incredible feat and really brought the club to the next level. And unfortunately, Chapman died aged 55 from pneumonia, which was a great loss for the club. Now, it wouldn't be for nearly 4 decades that the club would reach the same level again, but this time with an even better feat. Arsenal won their first European Cup, competing against some of the best teams in the world outside of England. And they actually won with a record-breaking attendance of almost 100,000 people. It was at this time that Arsenal's greatest rival was created, Tottenham Hotspurs, another team in London. Each game was compared to a rugby match due to its violence, and it really climaxed when the Gunners won the league against Tottenham at their own stadium, which was an absolutely huge feat. Now, in the 80s, so a couple years later now, a new manager by the name of George Graham was introduced, and Arsenal went on to win one of their most famous league titles. So, having been fined a 2 point deduction for a massive fight against another team in the league during one of their games, and also the club captain being sent to prison for 2 months, the club fought against all odds, and it came down to the last game of the season where they needed a win. Unfortunately for them, they won it. Also, a fun fact, during that season, they only lost 1 game, despite all of the crazy things that were happening at that time. Now, George Graham, the head coach at the time, won a few more trophies for the club in the next couple of years, but was released of his duties in 1995. So he served for about 10 years. And in 1995 to about 2010, that's when the club became one of the best, if not the best, in the world. So a man by the name of Arsene Wenger, an unknown Frenchman from a small French team, was hired as the new head coach and brought in some future superstars with him. They called him the Professor, and he would lead the club to their best ever era under him. So for 22 years, the club dominated at a national and international level and wrought some of the best players the Premier League has ever seen. One of the greatest feats ever by any soccer team took place under Wenger, where he led the club to an undefeated season in the best, again, most competitive league in the world. So this was in the 2003-2004 season. To this day, this has only ever been achieved by Arsenal in the Premier League. And it created some superstars, some of the best players in the world at that time. So there were some players like Thierry Henry, a Frenchman, Patrick Vieira, or they call him Captain Fantastic, Dennis Bergkamp from Netherlands, and Tony Adams, who was the club captain, who they called Rock Solid. So unfortunately, Wenger was let go in 2018 because of some poor performances, and the club is now striving to get back to where it was during his high period of his career. So now, because of this rich history and general winningness over the last 100 years, the club attracted many fans from around the world. So at the moment, Arsenal is one of the most well-known football clubs, boasting some of the most fans. The estimate is around 113 million people from at least 50 countries, which is incredible to say the least. This is such a significant number of people that the club has grown to be worth nearly 1 billion British pounds. with ticket sales, jersey sales in general, merchandise getting sold out within the first couple of days after release. The club needs to make more available, which obviously increases their profits. The club now has a great relationship with the fans and oftentimes even gives them a say in either match analysis after games or even to a certain degree which players to bring into the club as transfers. Now, because of the diversity of the players of the team, fans from all around the world support Arsenal, and it's become a type of super club in a way. So, in conclusion, I would say Arsenal Football Club, yet again, because of their rich history, um, being so dominant in domestic and international levels, as well as creating incredible players and great coaches, they've cemented themselves as one of the best teams, best clubs in the world. And they've actually amassed more success than most other clubs comparably to them in the world out of any country, which is also incredible, especially from being a little team formed by some factory workers in London. Um, Comparing them at that time of their formation in 1890 to now in 2020 being one of the greatest clubs to ever be is just incredible, and hopefully their success continues to grow. Thank you very much, and I hope you learned about the history of Arsenal Football Club.